This is Dear Psychopomp. Let's talk about death. The podcast where we peel back the veil, sip tea with the reaper, and get cozy with the inevitable. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I'm your host, Anne-Marie, your slightly morbid, death-conscious guide through the underworld of mortality, grief, and all the beautiful, messy things that the universe gives us. But before we dig in, a couple of important things. First, I am not a therapist, counselor, psychic, or priest. I'm just a death doula talking about death, dying, and all the shadows in between. This podcast is not a substitute for professional advice, support, or services. And please take care of yourself and seek help from licensed professionals if you need it. Second, some of the topics we explore can get heavy, emotional, or triggering. If anything hits too close to home, please step back, take a breath, or come back when you're ready. Your well-being is what matters most. Now, if you're still with me, light a candle, make peace with your demons, and let's talk about what really matters. Because death is just the beginning of a really weird, wonderful conversation. Joining us today is Hannah Rumsey. Hannah is a writer, a performer, and a podcaster. And since the death of her beloved friend Lauren in 2015, she hasn't been able to stop writing about it. Starting with her one-woman show, 42 Days of Summer, to her memoir in progress, L is for Lauren. She's also the founder and director of Friends Missing Friends, which is a podcast and a beautiful community that offers peer support friend loss grief groups. Hannah, thank you for being here today. It's wonderful having you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I was just listening to your episode. I forget which number it was. You're at 77 now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. It was the grief notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about like the premise of the grief notes?
Yeah, and it's something I've just started. So yeah, there's only one. So I actually was inspired by Amber Jeffrey's podcast, The Grief Gang. She's awesome. And she was like taking a walk, and like I was very breathless when I was walking. She managed to make it seamless. I don't know how she did it. But she was just on a walk, and like on her the notes app of her phone, she just like was sharing her thoughts, and it felt very conversational. She was saying how it's kind of like, imagine this like is a text note from a friend. And I was like, I love that, so I wanted to try it. And yeah, that episode was, I actually was walking in a graveyard, because it was a little on the nose as far as where to be.
Apropos.
Yeah, but also it was nice and quiet. And yeah, I just shared my thoughts, and I want to keep that going. Not every episode, but yeah, just kind of have those kind of off the cuff thoughts as I'm walking or like outside somewhere.
Yeah, it was really lovely to listen to. You were just so raw and vulnerable and real, and I think that's what really makes your listeners connect with you. Because I mean, I'm hooked. It's just it's beautiful. And I was going through, I haven't listened to every single one of your episodes yet.
Yeah.
You're just like pumping them out. But I was noticing, even just with the titles, the episodes that you create with other people telling their stories are legacies in themselves, and that it's such an amazing gift that you give, because people are telling their stories and keeping their friends' memories alive, and it's out there in the universe and the internet, and it's going to live there forever, and that's just beautiful. And
Thank you.
of course, if it's okay with you, I want to hear your story with Lauren. Tell me all about her.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so this month is extra emotional because
Mhm.
July 19th was the day of her death and her birthday. Um,
Wow.
so every July I'm like, it's more intense. Um,
Hmm.
and she would be turning 30, I believe, which is, or oh my gosh, or 31. I'll do the math later, but just like, and that just is so wild to me. And that's like one of the many continuous secondary losses is every year it's like
Hmm.
she'd be 28, she'd be 29, she'd be 30, she'd be 31, and it's just so um but yeah, I got to tell you about her so that you know who I'm talking about. This is what has been top of mind for me. um so we our friendship started in 2009. I We were teenagers. She was actually about 3 years younger than me, but she was 14 when I first met her, and I was 17, and then she turned 15 shortly after. But uh, we felt like the same age. Like we just clicked so incredibly well. Um, and the way I like to explain it is that like all of my peers in school were trying to grow up. We're trying to be adults. And I wasn't ready to let go of childhood yet. Um, and she was probably the last summer of my childhood, that summer that we spent together. Um, because we met at the Interlochen Summer Arts Camp and we spent 6 jam-packed weeks together. And it was absolutely, I would say I could put a stake in the ground and be like, this is the last summer of my childhood. Um, and I think because she was a couple years younger, she brought, it was also just her personality though, but she brought so much childlike energy. And like she would, like I say this all the time, but like she would just gallop like a horse because she felt like it, which is what like a 5-year-old would do. Right? But it's just like I just remember it blew my mind because it was so just untethered to worrying about what people think. Just like, I freaking feel like doing this, I'm gonna do it. Like, who cares? Um, so we were galloping like horses and like dancing and singing, um, and yeah, for those 6 weeks, I feel like more words and laughter and tears poured out of my body than they normally do in a year, because she
Hmm.
just like was so expressive. And so that was that our friendship. That's where we met at camp. And then the next 6 years we kept in touch and had a long distance friendship. We kept trying to get around to visiting each other, but we were in high school and like there was always exams, there was always something, right, that like
Hmm.
kept it from happening. um and then in 2015, it was on her birthday. Um, she was studying abroad in Spain, and I found out on her Facebook page that she had died while in Spain.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and it was, obviously like just completely unexpected. We had just messaged each other saying how we'll talk as soon as she gets back to the States. Um, and it's like there's no good way to find out, but reading a really impartial news article, it is not a good way to find out.
No,
Yeah.
no,
So it
it's grieving digitally it's a monster. I'm so sorry you found out
Yeah.
that way.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, again, like it's there's no it's like I don't want to compare sudden death to long death. They're both terrible in their own ways.
Hmm.
Um, but sudden death because that's what I have experience in. It shakes your nervous system because you didn't have time to prepare for it. You weren't expecting it. And you remain, or I can't speak for everyone, but I remained in shock for months,
Mm-hmm.
uh, maybe years. Um, I mean, it's just because you're just like, but it doesn't make sense. Like, I just talked to her. Like, it's just like your brain doesn't want it to be true. And so it's just like, I felt like I was told that she was dead, but I wasn't given the evidence. And I remember
Yes.
hearing that, like, having the evidence really helps your brain to kind of like come to terms with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've heard that. Like, they did a study on like people who were there with their pet as their pet passed on had less false cues, where they thought
Mm.
they heard the dog barking or walking down the hallway, um, while those who you know weren't there for whatever reason had a lot more false cues. It's like their brain couldn't
Mm.
process that they were gone.
Yeah, it's amazing the things that the brain does. And when you go through that shock and that denial, you're like, I don't accept this reality. And it
Yeah.
just pulls the floor from your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to stand and it's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else was she like?
Yeah, so she was so funny. And it's like it's always really bizarre to hear about someone you know and love after they've passed from other people who you haven't known yet. But I would hear from other people over and over, like, she's the funniest person I've ever known. She's the funniest person I've ever known. Um, so she was just, and like, an example is like, I would ask her to tell me the same story, kind of like a kid, like asking their parent, like, "Can you tell me the story of Cinderella?" Like, even though you know the story by heart.
Yeah.
It's like whenever we would Skype, I'd be like, "Can you tell me that story again?" Even though I'd heard it like 10 times, and like one story in particular that I remember that she told, and she was always so happy to tell it. She'd be like, "Oh yeah, of course," and then she'd launch into it. Um, One story was that, like, when she was in college, she went to I guess a farmer fraternity party, um, and she dressed up as a farmer. Like, she had overalls and a straw hat. Then she showed up and like no one else was dressed up, and she was just like really embarrassed. And it's like a simple story, but she managed to like embellish it and like make it so funny. Um, and I would be like, "Tell me the farmer fraternity story again."
I love that dedication to the theme though.
Yeah, and that's her in a nutshell. Like, she'd be like, "All right, we're going to this. I'm gonna freaking be dressed up for it." Like, she would do everything 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she would commit
Yeah.
fully. Yeah.
Make it an event.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
I so I have a friend that I lost,
Mm.
and I was thinking about it uh, before we started recording. I was like, if my buddy was there with Lauren, because he appreciated a good joke, he
Oh.
he had the worst taste in humor. It was he would tell the jokes that you feel guilty about and wish that you were baptized before you laugh at it.
Yeah. Oh.
But the delivery was just smooth. Like, you just like slip it in there like it was nothing. And
Oh.
I was thinking about that grief note episode that you did
Mm-hmm.
about continuing the friendship after death.
Yeah.
And so I've been writing him like burn letters. Just kind of
Mm.
updating him and like, this is what's going on and wish you were here. And sometimes I'll write, like I journal a lot, and I'll write a letter to myself from him
Oh, wow.
to try and like, because I know he was compassionate, but he was no bullshit. Like he wouldn't sugarcoat anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he, dulled his edges was he would put a joke in there afterwards.
Oh,
That's how he would soften things. And
yeah.
I'll say like, what would he say to comfort me about this? Or it'll just come to my head like, man, that's totally high five worthy, and I'll just air high five.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I have this little, I guess it's kind of like an altar by
Mm-hmm.
the front door, and I have a little sign there. So it's like, light one up for your homies, and it has a bunch of little candles around. And so, whenever I'm thinking about it or I walk by it, I'll light a candle for him and, talk to the candle. Or,
Mm-hmm.
I have a new office plant that I named after him. So I just talk to him every day and like, hey buddy, you thirsty?
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And just, even if all you're having is a glass of water or something, just like, cheers.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that the writing and the talking,
Mm-hmm.
and there's people who had never met him who were my friends that know about him,
Mm-hmm.
and they would even like ask me to talk about him,
Yeah.
and they were fine with me bringing it up incessantly
Mm-hmm.
in conversations, like, oh, he would have loved this. And I think that's
Yeah.
how we keep it going. It's just telling the stories and showing the pictures, and like, oh, he would have loved this.
Yeah.
And then you can finish your book and put it in the universe, and it's not letting go, it's setting free.
Mm.
you know
Yeah.
I understand in my own way. I'm writing a book about my friend,
Oh, wow.
and I've gathered up all the emails. Like, we never met face to face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he looked like. He knew what I looked like because I sent him my website for my death doula business.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew what I looked like, but I didn't know what he looked like. And I just sent him that. I'm like, hey, because he was reaching out for help online, and I was like, hey, I'm brand new death doula, but how can I be of service? And man, I had no idea
Mm-hmm.
what that kid would give me. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And I've gathered up the emails and stuff like that, but it's, as soon as I actually sit down to start writing it, it's like, no, if I write it down, that means it's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even as a death doula, you'd think that I would have really good coping skills. And I do
Mm-hmm.
in moments. But then you forget and you have to remind yourself. And it's, I haven't even written about his death in my journal, I don't think. And that was back in December. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just, I know it's real,
Mm-hmm.
but once it's in writing and it's documented, it makes it a different kind of real,
Totally.
you know? Yeah. But I think, he taught me just to go for it. Just live
Oh.
loudly and love loudly. And,
Mm.
like the world is truly a lesser place with
Yeah.
him gone. And it's like he's still teaching me things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was taking my life for granted again, still. And I was thinking about it the other day, like what an injustice it was. And I'm here taking my life for granted. And suddenly he was my muse.
Mm.
So I have this like my little friend on my shoulder being like, yo, like, go do the thing. Go take up your space.
Yeah.
And that's actually before he died, he called me his dear psychopomp. And
Oh,
so this is my way of keeping his memory alive.
wow. What a beautiful way to honor him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, I hadn't previously known what that word meant for some reason, but I looked it up and I was just like, oh, what a beautiful word. And
Right?
so, like, yeah, just the fact that, like, because I heard on your previous episode that you had a dear friend who called you that, and I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, is it, how would you describe it? I know what the internet said, but.
Oh. Well, the way it was described to me is
Mm-hmm.
a living guide for living souls to depart.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like it's not to be mixed up with a Grim Reaper who kind of takes you the rest of the way. Which I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think the Grim Reaper has a pretty like rough go because he's just there making sure you're not alone.
Yeah.
He's he's good company, you know.
He gets a bad
I
rap.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
And he's just there to make sure the transition's smooth. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And just the way my friend described it as a guide for living souls. I I
So
I,
beautiful.
I started crying, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Part of me was just so honored and humbled and
Mm-hmm.
whoa. And part of me, my ego was like, I finally have a nickname. Because
It's
you
a
can't
great
give
nickname.
yourself a nickname, you have to earn it. I
Aw,
was like,
yeah.
yes, I have a nickname.
So would you talk to him on the phone? Is that how you, or how would you communicate?
We did. We started with emails. I actually met him on Reddit,
Oh, wow.
and he was stage 4, and he must have been having a really hard day to post what he did on Reddit. And I was like, the way he wrote spoke to me. It
Mm-hmm.
was, I don't know, it made me like, I'm gonna randomly message this internet stranger. And I was like, hey, I can help you with resources.
Mm.
And then he just opened up. And
Wow.
so at first I was happy to be able to practice my doulaing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started asking about me. He wanted to know about me, and then we're sharing stories, and now we're friends. And he sucks at Battleship, by the way. I will never let him get away with that because he was awful at it, but he always wanted to play. And we
Oh.
talk mostly on uh, like Google Meet, just no cameras,
Mm-hmm.
or eventually we went to WhatsApp, but again,
Mm-hmm.
no video, just voice. And he was actually over in India, so
Oh,
there was
wow.
that crazy um, time gap.
Mm-hmm.
And he would actually wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and give me a call because he knew I'd be up.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just it was humbling again. Like the efforts that this almost complete stranger is putting into caring about me
Mm-hmm.
had me in awe.
Yeah.
And I think my main thing right now is the injustice of it. Like I only knew him for a few months. Like I wasn't done yet.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't done yet. But he was. Like he was ready. He accepted it. That was one thing that we worked on, and by the end of it he was like, I accept it and I'm okay with it and I'm ready.
Wow.
And to be able to give someone that is just like no words, no
It's a
ego,
huge
just
gift. Yeah.
human beings. Just it was intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah, unfortunately his story ended on a very tragic note, that I won't go into detail about because that would get political.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hate it when death and grief become political,
I
and then,
know.
yeah.
Well, because he wanted, medical assistance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, he couldn't get it here, and he couldn't get it here, and he couldn't get it here, and it's illegal here, and it's just, it was hard, but he'd call, and you could hear the pain in his voice when he was talking, and he would still be laughing and cracking really bad jokes.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
And then I'll be having a bad day just because of whatever's the worst part of my day, and I'll think of a crappy joke and remember that if he can still find laughter through all that,
Yeah.
then so can I.
Mm-hmm.
Not to compare his stage 4 cancer with my like coffee maker not working, but to be like, I can do difficult things.
Yeah.
He taught me that I can do difficult things. People can be happy and sad at the same time, and that's okay. You can be sick and happy at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
which I find a lot of people struggle with. Like I'm chronically sick. I have Crohn's disease,
Mm-hmm.
and I've lost how many friends because of it.
Oh,
You find out who your real people are, but
yeah.
and I was having a discussion with one of my friends before, and like I'll get random shooting pain. It comes for half a second. I'm doubled over, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
back. And I'll be back to talking and laughing or whatever. And she was like, how can you do that? Like, if I had Crohn's, I'd just be miserable all the time. And it's like, well, that sounds like a waste of time, first of all. And time is precious.
It
But
is.
also, like, I was diagnosed in 2009. So it's been, a couple years. And for the first, I want to say 3 or 4 years, it was grief. I was grieving.
Yep.
I couldn't pursue the career I wanted. I couldn't eat whatever I wanted anymore. My life was upside down. I was on 44 pills a day. And so I was miserable
Mm-hmm.
for years. I thought I was ruined for all relationships because who's going to love me?
Mm.
And then I kicked out of it. And then my dad died.
Oh.
Yeah. And we were estranged, and he was an alcoholic, and it was just, and it's, obviously I would change some things, but I wouldn't change, I didn't leave anything left unsaid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I learned so much about myself because every time you go through a loss of any type, it rearranges your world.
Yep.
And you have a new reality that you have to now integrate. And people these days see grief as an emotion or an event that you just have to get
Yeah.
through. And once you're on the other side of it, you won't be grieving anymore. It's like, well,
Mm-hmm. Like,
no.
it's done now.
Yeah. Ding.
Check.
Yeah. Done. And it's the thing I find like the worst part about it is people trying to put a time limit on your grief because they're uncomfortable with you still grieving because they're
Mm-hmm.
comparing it to themselves and they're like, wow, if Anne Marie can't get over it in this amount of time, like, what am I going to do? So she better get over it soon. It's like, you don't get over it.
You don't. And then there's the whole diagnostic DSM-5 where well, at least David Kessler said this recently, where like the diagnosis for prolonged grief is 1 year. And he was like in a meeting when this was announced. I don't know the details, but like someone was announcing it and he raised his hand. He was like, so you're saying if a year passes after my son's death and I'm still really sad and I still think about him a lot and I'm still deeply grieving, then I have a diagnosed condition? And they were like, yes. And he was like, okay. And yeah, it's just like, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole time thing is even put on medical diagnoses. Like, it's everywhere. It's the air we breathe. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's infuriating.
Well, yes, it really is. And I think the people writing the DSM are scientists and doctors and everything like that who death is another Tuesday for them.
Right. That's true.
Get me a panel of my peers from around this neighborhood and let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about grief, and then we'll get a real timeline.
Yeah.
Because of course, being a death doula, I compartmentalize death differently than someone who's never had a big loss before at all. There's too many factors, there's too many variables.
There are. Yeah. And that's why, like, David Kessler was saying, like, he thinks, like, unfortunately, diagnoses are important in order to get you care sometimes. And,
Mm-hmm.
like, you need the diagnoses for your health insurance to kick in, like, or at least in the United States, you do. And he was saying, like, instead of being time based, he thinks it should be activity based, in which whatever the time is, if you can't get out of bed and you can't go to work, then you get like that
Mm.
medical help. Not that it's been a year and you're still sad. It's just like, how is it
Yeah.
affecting your activities? How is it affecting your ability to live? But it's a whole can of worms. This whole
Yeah.
thing of like,
Right. I mean, it's hard because you go to a doctor these days and say like this is affecting my quality of life, and they
mm-hmm.
don't listen anymore. Because now everyone's saying it because that was the buzzword. And now it's like, my doctor is working on a diagnosis for me, potentially fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
So I did what any person would do, and I Googled it.
Mm-hmm.
Just to know. I want more information. I want to understand it better. I want to know what questions I should ask, because you don't know what you don't know. And the next time I had an appointment about it, I was like, yeah, I checked it on Google, and he rolled his eyes. I'm like,
What else are we gonna freaking do?
I'm just going
Like,
to sit here and have a panic attack for 2 weeks, and like, I
oh,
want
let
to
me pull up my
know.
medical book. Oh wait, I don't have one. I have Google. Don't freaking roll your eyes at me, mister. God, that's
Right?
so annoying.
Yes.
What else are we gonna do? That's how we find
Seriously.
out information.
Yeah,
Gosh.
and I seek to understand, and I know that there's people who see the internet as fact, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
internet doesn't lie. It would never. So, anyways, yeah.
May I
So
ask
what
your
do you?
friends? Oh, I'm
Oh,
so sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe it's private or personal, but I just wondered if you wanted to share your friend's first name.
mm, Walt.
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 Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
him with me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing Lauren with me. She sounds awesome.
Mm.
They're definitely up there having a wonderful discussion.
They're sharing jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. What would you do if you had like 5 minutes with her?
That's so
Like just
hard.
a quick little tea party,
Oh.
you know? She'll be all dressed up.
Well, it's funny because the closest I came to having a conversation with her, I'll share this briefly because it's the closest I've had to this whole I had 5 minutes with her thing, um, which was several years ago, maybe just like a couple years after she died, and it was New Year's Eve, and I was on the train, and my phone started buzzing, like in this really weird pattern, like Morse code, like just like dee, 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 dee,
Mm.
like that kind of like rhythm. And I was like, "What the heck?" And I had no notifications. I was so confused. And then I was just like, "Lauren, like, is that you?" And I just remember it was like, like it just like went crazy after I said that. And then like, um, I would ask her a question. It would like be silent as I asked, and then it would respond with buzzes. We went like that back and forth for a while. Um,
No way.
yeah, it was wild, and it was that frustrating. Like I don't know what she's saying in response. Like she's speaking another language. Um, and I remember being amazed at how I ran out of questions because really the main question I want to know is like, are you okay? Like, are you at peace?
Yeah.
And it's like after that, I was just like stunned by like, oh my gosh, I don't know what else to ask. Like that's like was the heaviest question I was carrying. And
Mm-hmm.
then we were like silent for a while, and then it hadn't buzzed in a while, and I panicked and I was like, Lauren, oh my god, are you there? Don't leave. And it buzzed 3 times, and I actually heard words in my head, I'm still here.
Oh.
And yeah, that's like the closest I've had to like conversing with her um since she's passed. So that's a long-winded way to answer your question, which is like I would just hug her and ask like, are you at peace? And like then we just might sit in silence together, like because it's
Mm-hmm.
so hard to know what to say. It's like words aren't enough, you know.
Well, that's why hugs were invented, so that your hearts can talk
Yes.
to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it like? Yeah, hugs have to be 20 seconds long to get the nice brain chemically stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. 20 seconds is pretty long. Like most people don't hug that long.
I know, hey?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm really connecting with my cat.
That's why we love our cats so
Yeah.
much.
Right. Do you
Oh,
do you have cats?
no, but I want one. I
Oh,
love cats and dogs.
we have a couple.
Really?
Yeah, you can have them.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. They're my babies. We have 3 cats and 2 dogs and 2
Mhm.
parrots and 2 lizards.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
I love animals.
that's
And
amazing.
my black cat, his name is Slevin. He's 19 years old this year.
Wow.
And yeah, every morning the void demands the snuggles. And I have to hold him like a baby. And I have one of those baby wraps so that I can hold him and still like get stuff done around the house, because he's turned into a Velcro kitty in his
Oh
old
my
age.
gosh.
So I think it's because he knows like the crumbs will fall and then he'll get more treats.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
And he's a little catnip fiend. Like, we have to hide it in the fridge because he can open cupboards and drawers.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not quite street smart, but he's not quite book smart. Like he's,
Uh-huh.
you know, he's read a
Yeah.
couple books, but yeah, that's my boy. Yeah. So,
Mm.
can I ask you, what
Mhm.
is what is 42 Days of Summer? What inspired that?
Yeah, so I took in 2020, like right at the beginning of the pandemic, I took a storytelling class, and it was at an acting studio in Chicago called Green Shirt Studio. And it was 3 levels that led up to writing a one-person show. So like we started with 5-minute stories, and then we went to 20-minute stories, and then we shaped it into an hour-long show. And like I basically put a flag on that time in the timeline of my life of like this is when the most healing happened in the shortest amount of time.
Mm,
Um because like really like our stories, our pain needs to be witnessed. It has to be witnessed. And in modern day life, that doesn't really happen. You have to make it happen. Like you have to find ways to make it happen.
hmm
And like therapy is great, of course, but like that on its own, I don't think it's enough as far as being witnessed.
N- no, for an hour every week, every 2 weeks, once a month. That's no.
Yeah. And it's also one person. Like, you know, you want to be witnessed by more than one person would be
Yes.
nice. I was gonna say a number and I'm like, I don't know, more than one. Um
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just like I don't know, like being able to tell the truth of how I was doing and what was going on in an hour and have people listen and cry. Um, like I had so many friends. It was shown over Zoom because of the pandemic. I had a lot of friends text me like I was like bawling, like
Oh.
just sobbing, and it's just like the fact that I was able to I don't know, like emotionally connect with people and also like be witnessed and be understood was like oh, it was like I felt like a different person. I felt like a
Hmm.
different person. Um, it was like a weight, like it's cliche, but like it was like a weight was lifted from my shoulders. I felt lighter, physically lighter. Um,
Yeah.
And I called it 42 Days of Summer because we spent 6 weeks together at camp, which is 42 days. Um, and the play was all about like kind of like the first few years of grief. And like in the very beginning, I get ready for a Halloween party, and I dress up in Joy from Inside Out,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is like, one is real. I did dress as Joy like 5 Halloweens in a row because I'm lazy and I just reused the same costume.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, like it's like it showed I had to put on the costume of Joy every day because I was grieving. Um, and I, in the very beginning, like before I reveal like what happened or why I'm grieving, I'm like leaving work, and then I pick a random skyscraper and I count up 9 floors. And I would do that obsessively because I heard she had fallen 9 floors. Because she died falling off a balcony. And so it's like it shows that like the details of someone's death and someone's suffering like becomes this, it haunts you.
It does, yeah.
It haunts you. And especially in the beginning, like it was like a film just running in the back of my head constantly, just like that number, the number 9 never left my head. And I'd be counting without even like realizing I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so then for the rest of the piece, I kind of go back and forth between that present day scene of like going to the Halloween party, wearing the Joy costume, and then back to like memories of my time with her. And yeah, anyway, so putting it together, um, putting it together in like an artistic way was also very helpful,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like a container. It's a container for it. It's not the perfect container. It doesn't contain it all, but it contains a piece of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a container for our grief can look like a million different things. Um, because otherwise it's like a swirling hurricane, you know, in our body and soul. And it's like I was able to like kind of like trap a little bit of it. I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes any sense, that metaphor.
It does. It's a beautiful metaphor. You caught the wind.
Yeah, it's like catching the wind. Yeah, because
Yeah.
and there's something very satisfying about that. Like if I ever freaking finish this book I'm writing, which I hope and pray I do one day finish it, it will be a huge relief too, because it'll be like this book is a container that is an expression of
Mm-hmm.
my grief and my love. It's not the ultimate expression. It doesn't say everything. It doesn't fully honor her entire life because that's impossible to fully honor a human's life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's a piece of it, and it's like I got that there, and it exists in the world. So, fingers crossed, I can get there.
You've got this. I believe in you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful because I mean that's all we get from our friends is just little bits at a time. Little bits of who we are and who they are, and then it intermingles. And so if you keep, sprinkle here, sprinkle there, it makes you seen, it makes them seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how, I don't want to say popular, but I love how people are becoming more aware of or vocal with their grief and talking about grief and talking
Mm-hmm.
about death,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's part of why grief is so hard, because North America, we're like, oh, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Good vibes only. It's like, no.
Yeah.
That's no, but when you can just sprinkle in, like they say that wholeness is not happiness. Wholeness is balancing out every single emotion and recognizing, acknowledging, validating all of the emotions.
Yeah.
Including the ones that make you uncomfortable. Because especially today, we hate being uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
We like our creature comforts, and that's okay. But that's made us just terrified of talking about things that aren't only happy. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who do like the trauma dumping. And they're focusing only on the grief. And there's people focusing only on happiness. And it's so finding that sacred balance of everything in between is just, it's hard. It's daily. It's like hygiene. You got to work on it every day. There's no one who's won grief.
Yeah.
They didn't beat it. They,
yeah.
You know, they didn't win gold in the grief Olympics. It was just, they accepted it. And you accept happiness. And that's like one of the sayings I have is, you know, if things are going bad, this too shall pass. And if things are going good, this too shall pass. And it's recognizing that it'll also come back, but then it'll go away again. And that's,
it's so hard. It's so hard to accept that.
Living is not difficult because you're doing something wrong or anything like that. Like, living is hard because being alive is difficult.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, the word goal isn't the right word, but the way I want to live, rather than like my goal, the way I want to live is I want to fully grieve and fully live. And like, and that's like what you're saying, like, fully experience my sadness, my grief, my anger, and fully experience my joy, my going out to the world and doing things, you know, whatever that is, meeting people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, thank you so much for sitting and having a chat with me today. It's been absolutely lovely. And do you want to let the listeners know about your grief groups?
Yes. So I offer friend loss grief groups. They're peer support. Right now they're virtual on Zoom. So you can go to friendsmissingfriends.com/grief group to see what's available. Reach out to me if you have questions, friendsmissingfriends@gmail.com. Yeah, and I want to continue expanding what I offer because friend loss is disenfranchised and widely ignored by our world. So there are not very many resources out there.
Very true. I'm so grateful that you've created this platform for this grief because it's disenfranchised. It's not romanticized or anything like that. It's just, we're supposed to be like, oh, a friend. You know, even when you get like time off work, bereavement leave or whatever, if you're not immediately related to them.
Yeah. Too bad.
It's like, okay, even though I was closer with them than I was with like my own family. Sure. Great. So I digress. It is.
It's a whole thing. I can rant about it for hours.
Me too. Tune in for the next episode.
Yes.
where we just roast the system.
Which system? All the systems.
All of them. That'll be next season. Awesome.
Yes.
All right. Thank you again for
Thank
being
you so
here. It has
much.
been so lovely. And thank you for listening to this week's episode. Once again, you can find Hannah online at friendsmissingfriends.com or on Instagram at friendsmissingfriends. And if this episode hits you in the feels, please hit the like button, share, follow, and subscribe. If your platform allows, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Your support keeps this podcast going, and you can find me at dearpsychopomp.com or contact at dearpsychopomp.com. Death isn't a secret. Let's talk about it.